Okay, let's get right into it. A major security incident has just unfolded in Washington, D.C., and it's centered directly on the President of the United States. Today, we're breaking down exactly what happened during the attack at the White House Correspondents Dinner.
So here's the headline: shots fired. And we're not talking about some distant threat. This was a gunman opening fire right outside the annual gala, an event that's literally packed with the nation's top leadership. As you can imagine, this triggered a massive and, well, immediate security response.
All right, first things first, and this is the most critical update. President Donald Trump is safe. He was immediately evacuated from the scene and is confirmed to be completely unharmed. Now that we've got that covered, let's get into the details of how this all went down.
So, let's deconstruct this whole incident. We're going to break down the who, what, where, and when of the attack.
Okay, the details here really paint a clear picture. The suspect has been identified as 31-year-old Cole Thomas Allen. And you have to understand the stakes here. President Trump was at the event, along with First Lady Melania Trump and Vice President J.D. Vance. This all happened on Saturday evening, April 25, 2026, at the Washington Hilton Hotel.
So how did this play out? Well, the suspect, Allen, apparently approached a security checkpoint and just opened fire. I mean, you can imagine the chaos. Secret Service protocol kicked in instantly. President Trump was evacuated while agents moved in to neutralize the threat, and they successfully took Allen into custody. And let's be clear, this was a serious threat. Authorities recovered several guns and knives from the suspect right there at the scene. He was heavily armed and seems to have been prepared for a pretty significant confrontation.
So now let's talk about the immediate aftermath. Once the suspect was in custody, the focus shifted to the security response and, unfortunately, the human cost of this attack.
Amid all that chaos, the human cost became frighteningly clear. One Secret Service agent was shot during the confrontation. It's just a stark reminder of the incredible risks these agents face every single day.
Thankfully, there's some good news here. That agent survived. And the reason is simple, but absolutely critical. They were wearing a bulletproof vest. That piece of equipment, without a doubt, saved their life.
It didn't take long for President Trump to release a statement. And he didn't mince words. He called the suspect a thug and framed the whole thing not just as a personal assault, but as an attack on the Constitution. Really strong words. So this brings us to the biggest unanswered question of all, the motive. Why did this happen?
You know, we have the who, the what, the where, and the when, but the why, that is still a complete mystery. Investigators have not yet figured out the motive behind the attack.
And that leaves us with the really critical question. The suspect, Cole Thomas Allen, is in custody. So as the investigation gets going, the entire country is going to be waiting to find out what it reveals about his motive.